Welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode is all about strategy, the kind that helps the wealthy build and protect their money. Our guest is Manu Shandal, a cross border CPA known for making complex topics like IPPs and buy, borrow, die easy to understand. If you've ever wondered how the healthy grow and preserve their wealth, you're in the right place. Let's break it all down. Let's start with buy, borrow, die. What is it exactly, and why is it considered controversial?
First of all, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to speak with the good folks at Accountizer. As for buy, borrow, die, I personally don't think it's controversial. However, the socialists do, and the whole premise behind it is so the reason why they believe it's controversial is because the fact of the matter is that once you achieve a certain level of wealth, your tax liability starts to diminish, and they find it unfair. But the argument is that if these people didn't take the risks that they took, they wouldn't be able to generate employment and wealth not only for themselves but for others as well, right? So you can't have it both ways. Like you want them to create jobs for you, but then you also don't want them to benefit from the risk that they took, right?
Right.
So I don't think it's controversial, but the reason why people do find it controversial is for the very simple reason that they just minimize or eliminate taxes.
Perfect. And you often mention structures like IPPs, IFAs, and RCAs. Many find these confusing. Can you explain them in simple terms?
In a sentence or two, they're different tools used in very specific scenarios or situations in order to extract cash from a corporation. In Canada, the way the corporate structure is set up for CCPCs, Canadian Controlled Private Corporations, for small entrepreneurs, is that the CCPC tax rate is 12.2% in Ontario. Therefore, it's beneficial or tax advantageous to leave your money in the corporation. However, now what happens is over the years and decades, that money starts to accumulate. Now, if you pull that money out as income, you end up in the 50% tax bracket. And that's a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
So, how can you pull that money out in the most tax efficient way? And that's when these three tools come into play.
Okay, great. And who are these tools really designed for? Are they truly only for the wealthy, or can the average person access them too?
So rule number one, you have to have a corporation, right? And then rule number two, you have to have an accumulation of money to qualify for these programs. Now, for example, IPP, the ideal candidate would be a dentist or a physician, right? So they're in the higher income bracket. An IFA would be a wealthy entrepreneur or even a physician and dentist towards the end of their career. Now they just want to go into retirement and extract cash, through estate planning, right? And then the RCA is paying yourself large bonuses in order to use that money later on in life through a pension program. So the honest truth is it's for the wealthy, right? You can't hide that. But anyone can become wealthy, right? There's no restrictions on who can and can't be wealthy. You and I can become wealthy. Your neighbor can become wealthy, right? It's just, do you have that drive to become wealthy?
Okay, that makes sense. And thank you for your honesty. What's your take on building wealth through a corporation versus personally?
Well, so, I mean, if you have a 9 to 5 job, so for example, let's take a step back. If you're a CEO of a large corporation, then you're most likely an employee, right? And as an employee, you really can't take advantage of the corporation, right? However, if you're, like I said, a physician, or if you're self-employed, you're an entrepreneur, you can then take advantage of the corporate benefits. And the thing is this, again, going back to what I said, anyone can open up a corporation. You and I can open one for $1,000, right? But the question is now, not everyone with a corporation is super successful with mountains full of money sitting there waiting to be pulled out with these tools, right? A lot of entrepreneurs are struggling. It's a fact of life. The economy is not that great. Interest rates are high. Unemployment rate is high. The real estate market is struggling. There's tariffs, the Canadian dollar's in the toilet. The list goes on and on and on, right? We have crime issues, we have migrant issues, like the list doesn't stop, right? So it is challenging. However, nothing is stopping you from trying. So so I guess not to give you a long-winded answer, the answer is corporation is when you have true wealth, or if you really want to go out there in beast mode, as I like to call it, you go into beast mode, open up your corporation, and then you start doing fun stuff, but it takes risk, right?
Perfect. Thank you. And a lot of people think getting rich is all about investing, but how important is tax strategy in that equation?
We have to understand one thing, and I come across this a lot with clients. We tend to compartmentalize different facets of life. And what I mean by that, we view our individual taxes as one silo, your corporate tax as another silo, then your estate planning, then your retirement planning, and so on and so forth, right? We have these little buckets. But the truth is, all these buckets interact with each other. It's like a Venn diagram. So your investing is not separate or different from your tax planning. It's all part of the package. You can't do one without doing the other, right? Then business strategy comes into play, your roadmap comes into play, budgeting, forecasting, and all these different tools come into play, right? Your estate planning comes into play. If you have children or a spouse, how can you now use them to help minimize your taxes and grow your business? So there's a lot of different ways and methodologies of going about it, but it's not different. They're all part of one big bundle.
Makes sense. And you've also spoken about the role of mindset in financial success. How does an abundance mindset or personal growth tie into money management?
There's five buckets in this Venn diagram, and it all comes from your upbringing. Now, you might come from a not so wealthy family, right? So you come from a not so wealthy family, you were deprived of certain luxuries as a child growing up. So when you grow up, you have two mindsets. Mindset number one is, oh my God, I'm not worthy of these items, therefore I won't treat myself. And you live like a miser. Number two is, I was never given these items as a kid, so now I'm going to splurge and go into debt, right? And then there's number three, where you come from wealth, therefore you're just used to having these things. So you don't care about budgets or anything, and you just kind of blow beyond your means. And number four is, because you grew up in wealth, you don't value these things anymore because they don't bring you happiness. You come to that realization and you just live like a miser, right? So these are the four quadrants where you have to be in the middle, right? You have to have a healthy relationship, because none of these relationships, these four buckets, none of them are a healthy relationship with money. So it's very important to have that healthy relationship with money, which is somewhere in the middle. Okay. Now, the abundance mindset is when people, when I tell people you're in debt, reduce, like my videos, I'll say reduce your debt, right? Save up. So what people think of is cutting cost. Instead of eating Heinz ketchup, I'll eat, some no-name brand ketchup. That's what people are thinking in their head. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is, eat your Heinz ketchup, but you have to think in your mind is, now what can I do? How can I go into beast mode, as I call it, become a wolf, right? Are the terms that I use, and be able to afford that Heinz ketchup, right? If you want that BMW, now what can I do, outside my 9 to 5 to get into that BMW? It's not, oh my God, I have a car. I don't think I can afford this. Let me start taking the city bus. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you can't afford that car, now what are you going to do in order to afford that car? Right? So it's that abundance mindset. Like, where will I go out and find that money to make my dream a reality? As opposed to, I'm not worthy of this, so I can't buy it. See the difference? It's a shift in mindset, right?
Yeah, that's true. Do you have any big myths that you want to bust about how the wealthy actually manage their finances?
Yeah, actually, you'd be surprised when you see people. And I say this with a straight face. I've seen so many people. When you see people driving in those Ferraris and those purses that have big LV written with like neon lights and it's screaming at you like I have a Louis Vuitton bag. Those people usually are paycheck to paycheck and they can't afford it. That's the reality. Um, Billionaires in San Francisco, if you saw them walking around, they look homeless, right? And that's how the wealthy, if you look at Mark, like all these tech CEOs like Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos or even Bill Gates, and the list goes on and on and on, all these guys, right? Even Elon Musk, they're dressed very modestly and they seem to have the same outfit on all the time. Elon Musk with the black suit on, right? Mark Zuckerberg has a black turtleneck. Steve Jobs, turtleneck, same thing. Actually, no, Zuckerberg with the t-shirts and Steve Jobs with the turtleneck. So these guys had their uniform, and that was it. They never look flashy. You don't see their watches, you don't see anything, right? And they can buy out the entire store if they wanted to, but they don't. So, um, so that mindset is don't be impressed by what you own. Be impressed by the passive income that you're generating. So that's what you should strive for in your life. And I don't care who you are or what income level you come from. It's how can I maximize my passive income so that your money works for you as opposed to you trying to show everyone that look how hard I'm working for my money, right? And Canadians and Americans need to kind of wrap their head around that.
Right. Thank you very much. So, if you're ready to level up your financial literacy, you can connect with Manu for tailored advice through accountizer.ca, where he's a proud member of our professional community. And for more bite-sized insights on smart money strategies, be sure to follow his YouTube channel, Sweet Money. Manu, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, Nicole. Have a good one.